Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners with Jim Misiura. Today we're going to tie a bead head Zug Bug. A Zug Bug has been very underappreciated, and it is a very old fly, and it is a very good one. Just like this goes almost like the Prince. But the hook that I have in a vise is a Lively Legs Lip Splitter 473 number 12, and this is 1 extra strong, 2 extra long. And look, if you followed me, you know that I like the long hooks when I'm putting beads on them, like the longer ones. But the pattern without the bead also calls for a 2x hook. Now the bead that I have on there is just a brass bead. It isn't a tungsten bead. This is a 3.3 millimeter brass bead. So I'm going to go ahead and take some lead-free wire. I'm going to add some lead-free wire to it. There's 15 wraps. This thing should go down very quickly. And we'll break that back off. And we're going to use black thread. And this is uni thread 8/0. And we're going to start that thread behind the lead wraps and push that lead into the bead. If you're using a tungsten bead, you may or may not want to add weight to it. It all depends on the water that you fish, whether you need heavier weight or not. I'm going to bring that thread back just to where the thread is hanging just past the point. Now we're going to put the tail on first. And for the tail, you can use either regular Peacock Herl, or you can use a Peacock sword. You can see the sword here. I don't use this very often. There's not a lot of patterns that call for Peacock sword, but it has a beautiful color. So I'm going to take 3 or 4 of those, and we're going to tie them in, and we're going to make them about half the length of the hook shank. And if you're using regular Peacock Herl, just take the tips, the very tips off 2 or 3 of them, 3 or 4 maybe. Now I'm going to put in a rib, and this is going to be oval tinsel, oval silver tinsel. And I'm going to just tie this in. I'm going to kind of make that tag go up to the lead wraps, and that will help to even out the body. And you can just pluck these off. And we're going to bring that back. Now I'm going to take 2 pieces of Peacock Herl. And we're going to tie them in. And we're going to bring our thread up near the bead. And then we could go ahead and wrap this. I can rotate my vise, but I'm just so used to wrapping Peacock Herl with my fingers like this. I think it's just probably just about as quick. And we'll bring that right up to the bead there. And we can tie that off. Put a couple wraps in front of it. Take your poke and snip. Get rid of that Peacock Herl. Now we can take our oval tinsel and we're going to counter wrap, being the opposite direction that you wrapped your Peacock Herl. And this is going to help to protect the Peacock Herl because you have one wrapped one way and one the other way. It's going to lock in that Peacock Herl from coming apart. And we'll take our poke and snip again. I cut my thread and my finger. And I bring my thread back slightly. Now for a hackle, we're going to use a furnace hackle. We got coal in the middle and fire on the outside. We're going to use a small one. I'm going to take one of the, try to take the smallest one I have on here. We get a nice small hackle there, and this is actually dry fly quality. But I'm going to stand those up and I'm going to give it the crew cut. You don't have to have much of a crew cut on this, but you do want the crew cut so that the thread has something to grab onto. And we're going to put a sparse hackle on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, not going to take the whole thing, but I'm going to take some of this top off. I have the concave side to the shank. I'm going to take some of this top off. And that is going to reduce by half the amount of hackle that's going on. Now I'm going to take my hackle pliers and we're going to wrap this. We're going to give it 3. Oh, let me back that up because that, there we go. We're going to get it in front of that. There we go. Get that in front of the wrap of rib there. Now we can tie this off. Put a couple in front. Now I'm just going to fold everything back just a bit, and I'm going to come back one thread width so that my hackle will go towards the rear slightly. There we go. And I missed one there. I got one sticking up. You see my finger? I cut my finger on my poke and snip. They are sharp. Now for the wing, here I have, the recipe calls for a wood duck flank. This I believe is a teal flank. And the whole idea is to have a barred wing case. And this one here, I actually use this feather for legs on other flies, on another fly, and now I can use it on my Zug Bug. So I'm going to tie this down, and it's very long right now. I'm going to put a couple of wraps on there, loose ones, then I'm going to pull it to the size that I want, which is going to be just about half of the fly. And that'll be the Wingcase. Now I'll tighten that up. And I can trim off the excess. Secure that a little bit more. And now, because I don't like that head, it's like kind of ugly, I'm going to take my black rabbit crystal dub, because I don't like the thread on there, and I'm just going to take a little bit of this, just enough to cover that thread. Sometimes I don't even get the GSX that I mixed in with it when I do this. There we go. We'll just cover up that ugly spot. Now, before I finish that last bit, I'm going to take my whip finish, hook the thread, go around the camel hump, bring it back. Now, when you have dubbing on there, you have to be careful. I'm not touching the thread. I'm bringing it right to the fly itself. One. Whoop. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Give it 4 or 5. And we'll tighten that up. Take that poke and snip again. Try not to stab myself. And now I'm going to take my head cement, and we're going to go ahead and put a generous amount right on that black head, or that rabbit head, and let that soak in there. And here we have a bead head Zug Bug. Give these a try. They are very good. Just like I said, they're a lot like the prints, except the wings haven't fully popped yet. You just have that wing case of that different color. And I hope that you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors. Let them know that I sent you. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. If you'd like to purchase any flies from me, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And if you don't see it there, just go ahead and send me a message through Etsy, and we'll figure out what you want. And most of all, I thank you very much for watching my videos.